All right. Thank you, Music Posse, for getting us in gear to show up, share with all of you social friends our content in this episode of Flipping That House. For those of you who may have missed our previous episode, well, I'll be honest with you. You kind of missed it, but so did we, because sometimes life gets in the way. Schedules in our business must turn on a dime. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, we missed all of you in our previous episode, but we're back now that, unfortunately, we're midway or 2/3 of the way through summer. We ultimately have to get back to the things that drive us. So with all of that said, let me welcome my co-host Catalin into today's conversation. Hello, Catalin.
Hello, happy Monday and happy August. I hope you're enjoying an amazing summer. I know I am, and can't wait to bring you guys even more value. As you said, the year is coming closer and closer to an end, but it's amazing. And if you still go back to your January goals, it's not too late to put some actions into practice. And if real estate and owning real estate is on your agenda, on your goals, hey, this time between August and December, I think is a great time to find a good deal.
Oh, I love those 2 words or 3 words, a good deal. So with that as the segue, talk to us about why right now, in your opinion, Catalin, there are still some great deals to be had. What's going on with real estate here in Greater Chicagoland?
Oh, great question. I think everybody is probably tired of hearing in the news rates, lower the rates. It's a big, I feel like push and pull back and forth between the men at power and women in power, kind of like going back and forth between lowering or not lowering the rates. But it looks like there's a lot of optimism in the market with seeing some lower rates starting pretty soon. So if that happens, I would say that whoever listened to the all the saying, right, marry the house and date the rate, will be very, very happy in the near future. But going back to why is it a good time to find a good deal in Chicago right now and how the market is going is, we just came out of a very, very, very hot spring market, right? If you guys have not paid attention, I can tell you that I have clients that they've lost multiple offers. They won multiple offers. I had sellers that sold homes over asked. It's been a very, very hot market in Chicago, and specifically because we don't have a lot of supply and we have a lot of demand. So that's what has kept Chicago market at a steady growth and also a very, I would say, hot spring market. But now with August and summer in full speed, people are still vacationing. School is starting soon. So what happens is those buyers that were, either lost some steam during the spring market and they renewed leases and they say, hey, we're going to wait till next year. Or those people that are like, hey, our kids are starting school, let's enroll them, we'll buy a house next year. That means that there's less people looking to buy on the market right now. So that means less competition. We still don't have a lot of supply, but because there's less competition, your chances of finding a good deal and not having to go through multiple offers and fighting for that property, this time could be a great time to still keep looking and see what's out there for you.
Yeah, I do see, and I've heard a slow trickle of inventory adding to the supply, but you're absolutely right. The demand right now, is outpacing that supply. So for those of you who are looking to make your next shift, move to your next real estate chapter, just like Catalin has said, it's a great time to do so. I've seen through some of my client relationships, I've seen some clients who have released the shackles, uncuffed themselves from the so-called locked-in effect. And if I may share with you why, Catalin, you might kind of smile and chuckle a little bit. It's because life keeps going. Life happens. Some of my clients are starting their family, adding to their family. And so what's more important, right? Moving on to your next chapter so that you can situate yourself for the next 10 years, or being a victim to that so-called locked-in effect.
I love that. I always say, you have two options in life. You can choose to be a victim or a victor. And, I'm a big believer choosing to be a victor. It's the right way to do it. And as you said, whenever you buy real estate, you change your lenses. You don't look with a short-term lens. You look with the long-term. This is your forever home. Or if it's not forever, you're going to be there for 5 to 7 years. A lot of things happen and change in 5 to 7 years. So just being frozen in fear, it's not the way to go.
Yeah, very true. And by the way, I like that segue. It must be very fresh on your mind. Social friends, if you have not liked, subscribed, or followed Catalin and or myself, he actually dropped a social post that talked about different lenses. So rather than tell you anything more, you got to go check him out. Okay? He has a great message from that social post that is not just about real estate, but I think it's about life in general.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Optics is what makes everything.
Bingo. So let's now shift our conversation to these next two segments, Catalin. I know you and I get those common questions. There's probably just not a few, but several to many of them. So let's start with, what are some of those common questions that you get from sellers? And if I might give you kind of a backdrop, I know currently right now you're about to start or you're about to execute a flip of a condo property. So a common question I would ask you is it any more challenging to flip a condo property than all of the other property types that I know you have your fingerprints on?
It's a great question. At the end of the day, each flip comes with its own challenges. But the way I look at it is, a condo compared to a single family home or a multi-unit property you're considering flipping gives you the, I would say, flexibility or the freedom of not stressing about the exterior factors like roof, exterior, either framing or brick or tuck pointing, and windows, because those are the responsibility of the HOA.
Mm-hmm.
Now, talking about the HOA, if you buy in a good building where the HOA is managing that building correctly and nicely, and they did everything, on time, they service their roof, they service their exterior, they take care of their landscaping and do all that good stuff. The only additional friction is, I would say, friction or layer of complexity is navigating the HOA's bylaws, HOA's rules and regulations as far as what a rehab is allowed, how to do it, when to do it, the hours of operation, and everything else. But overall, a condo is easier, in my opinion, because one, it has less square footage compared to a single family home where you have to probably deal with, a basement, make sure there's no water getting in the basement, French drains, and all that, like drain tiles and everything else that could come with it.
Right.
Then, secondly, you don't have to stress, as I said, about the exterior. So you only focus on the kitchen, bathrooms, paint, electric, plumbing within those limits, right? Because a lot of times the main electric, the main plumbing is the part of the association. So you only stress about minimal work on that side, which, again, we're talking savings. Flooring, light fixtures, and, paint, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Great point. Great point. And it's so interesting that you can shed your perspective, share some light on this topic while you're about to embark on this condo flip. What's another common question you get from sellers? And of course, your sellers are those investors who lean on you to look for the flip and then execute selling the flip. So what's another common question?
The number one question I would say, is this the right time to sell? I'm sorry. Is this the right time to sell? Can I get the most money for it? And that's the number one question. And my answer is always the best time to sell is the spring market. We just spoke about it when we started. There's like in Chicago, there's this saying that the spring market starts after the Super Bowl. You know what? It's true, right? Now that doesn't mean that if you want to sell now, you cannot maximize it. You just have to have a very aggressive marketing strategy, a very aggressive, approach to presenting your product as best as possible to put it in front of the clients and put it above your competition, right? If you take a look what's happening on the market, you said there's a little bit more supply coming. So it's very, very important that you set yourself apart from your competition and you attract those fewer buyers left on the market.
Yeah. And of course, I think in what you just shared, it's also, you got to have a great pricing strategy that only comes with committing to the right real estate broker team to help you execute the sell from a flip, right?
Yes, 100%. And I actually calculated on this flip, we might actually hold it till spring, just so we can. I personally, I'm going to delay a little bit the construction, so we can come on the market at the highest price possible. That's
a very interesting strategy. Social friends, you heard it from Catalin. There's always a reason as to why you do what you do. And it's so important to make sure that you're surrounded by the right team of experts, service providers to get you to the outcome that you want. Let's now shift the conversation to what are some common questions you get from buyers?
I would say the number one thing from buyers that I've seen recently is fear. They all ask, hey, can I get my earnest money back? What if there's a lot of uncertainty, and that's why working with a real estate agent that actually has the knowledge and the skill to explain every single step of the process brings certainty to your life, brings certainty to the process. It's worth its weight in gold, because I would say that the number one common denominator is fear. What if I buy today and the market drops? what if, and that's where you need a realtor with experience. That's where you need a realtor to hold your hand and bring that certainty in your life, because the I would say maybe 2 years ago was rates. People stopped asking about rates. Honestly, people got used to the sixes. They're used to the fact that, hey, this is the market. We're buying. I either pay my mortgage or somebody else's mortgage, but one or the other. If you want to live, in your own place, you have to pay rent or mortgage, and that's how it is. But yeah, I would say the fear is there's still a lot of uncertainty in the market, and number one denominator is fear and anxiety.
Yeah, I hear you. Let me add to this a common question I get from buyers. Catalin, you might chuckle at this. A common question, you probably have heard it before, which is from a buyer. So, Bill, what's my interest rate?
Yes. It's always you're the lender. You need
yes. I'm the lender. We are the lender. And here is my answer to that common question. It depends. It depends on 75% of the things that you buyer bring to the table, which would be your credit profile. How do you earn income? Right? Are you self-employed? Are you an employee? But here is the most important thing that I reflect back to. It depends. So here's the mic drop. Buyer, it depends on whether you're going to live in the property, you're going to own or occupy it, usually as your primary residence, or are you sourcing financing, getting a loan as an investor, as a flipper, because those are two different outcomes. So buyers, when and if you're starting a conversation with a lender, if you don't hear a lender respond back to your question, hey, what's my interest rate? And the most important question is, so buyer, tell me about what you're going to do with this property, which is basically, are you going to live in it? Are you going to flip it? That is so very important. You agree?
I agree 100%. And for put things in perspective, as a flipper, my interest rate, it's 10.25 right now.
Right.
I'm high risk. I don't live in it, and it's a 12 months loan. So keeping that in mind, put perspective. I have a friend that's doing a refinance right now, and they just told me that in a property they live in, they're locking in a 5.75 interest rate, which is absolutely amazing. So to your point, the scale is pretty big depending where you land on the scale.
Bingo. So social friends, as we wrap up today's episode of Flipping That House, Catalin and I want to simply say thank you for showing up in today's live stream as we have shown up for you. How can you start a conversation with Catalin and or myself, given your next chapter, given your next step to get to the outcome that you want? All you have to do is simply scan the QR codes that you see here. Catalin and or myself will gladly start a conversation with you to get you to your next chapter. Catalin, thank you for showing up today. Have a great Monday, great week. Music Posse, play us out. Here we go.